we got Terence Bud Crawford against Jose Benavidez. Now, me personally, this is not a fight that I particularly cared about. I was particularly interested in. I actually think that this fight is a waste of Terence Crawford's time and talent. But nonetheless, he re-signed with Bob Arum. So these are the fights that we're going to get from him. And there is one thing that I do have to agree with Earl Spence that he said. And that's when he said that Terence Crawford is on the wrong side of the street. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to digress a little bit, and I'm going to get into this fight because, like I said, this is not a fight that I feel is even necessary. But nonetheless, it landed on my radar, so I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts, and I'm going to break down the press conference and everything that I've seen about it. All right, now when it comes to Terence Crawford, when I look at Terence Crawford, what you are looking at is what I like to call a complete fighter. You know, Terence Crawford has one of the best skill attributes that I think any fighter can have, and that is being a switch hitter. To me, in my personal opinion, if you want to be a complete fighter, you have to be a switch hitter. You know what I'm saying? That is a massive advantage, even though some people and some trainers will teach you that it drains your energy to switch from orthodox to southpaw inside of the ring. Me, I personally don't believe that. I actually think that it actually somewhat preserves your energy and just makes you even more of a dangerous opponent. Now, Terence Crawford has good footwork. Terence Crawford has good punch selection, and he has good speed. You know what I'm saying? He thinks on his feet, and you know what I'm saying, he's very strategic at times. Now, I don't have too many flaws or too many problems with Terence Crawford, but if I was to pick something, Terence Crawford is one of those people that I would say that his disadvantage at times is his advantage. And that is Terence Crawford tends to fight with his heart on the sleeve. So when you tag him in the heat of the moment, he tends to want to get you back. Now, that is great as far as a casual standpoint, as far as action. But sometimes in a fight that can be detrimental because sometimes you have to keep your composure. You don't always have to get back, you know what I'm saying, right then and there. But that's one of the flaws and one of the setbacks that I have to see of Terence Crawford if I had to pick anything. But there's not, excuse me, but there's not too much that I can see about Terence Crawford that's, you know, that bothers me about him as far as skill wise. Like I said, he's one of the most complete fighters that I've seen of this era, right next along to Lomachenko. Now, when it comes to Jose Benavidez, Jose Benavidez is somebody that I'm not too keen on, you know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I do my homework on people, and I would say that he's a pretty good, solid opponent. Nothing really special to me in my eyes, but Jose Benavidez, he has a very good jab. He has a good uppercuts, and he throws hooks. Tends to keep his hands a little bit too low for me. His feet is a little bit too stuck in the mud for me. But if I had to give Jose Benavidez an advantage in this fight, the only advantage that I could give him is his height and his reach. You know, because other than that, I really can't give him nothing else because truthfully, this guy is nowhere near on the level of Terence Bud Crawford. But this is what we're here to see in the first place for those that tend to disagree. So how I see this fight ending is either in a knockout or in a stoppage by the 6th or 7th round. You know, this is just one of those fights that, you know, you have to be able to tell at this point that it's not so much of a mismatch, but Terence Crawford level as far as skill, as far as boxing IQ, is far superior than this kid at this point in time in his boxing game. Now, I'm going to digress on that because I want to get directly into the press conference and be able to break that down. But I will say this, although this is not a fight that I'm too keen on, I actually can't wait to do the fight breakdown analysis on this fight just to show you the technician and the skill set of Terence Crawford. But without holding you guys up, let's go ahead and get into the press conference and go ahead and break that down some.
Jose has been adamant about trying to get this fight for a couple years, said, you know, you never signed a contract, you never wanted to accept the fight, you've been ducking him. What do you have to say about that?
I'm my witness. All you viewers, my witness. Has there ever been a fight, a proposal, or anything about Team Crawford fighting this guy?
No.
Thank you.
This is your first title defense.
No, I'm talking about 130, 140.
Damn shame when it seemed like your promoter is trying to side with your opposition, even though they're both his fighters. But then again, Terence, that's what you get for signing with Bob Arum. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he had to open his mouth to act like he had some kind of rebuttal with what you just had to say. But, you know, I'm going to digress. Keep going.
Whenever.
There was a fight. I said with Bob after Maromero Price. Maromero Price. I said with Bob, and he said if we were ready to take this fight, and I said yes, Bob. Let's get this fight going on. And you know what? I just have a lot of respect for you guys. You guys want to be there with me. But you know, they set us up yesterday at your gym. But you know, we went to your gym to do a media workout, and who did I find? Your wife, his wife, and the whole family, you know, trying to interrupt and disrespect us. What would you say? I don't even know who set that up. You know, we were there to do our job, and everybody can see it in the videos. You disrespected my whole family. You disrespected my people, and we're here to represent our people.
That's my gym.
Now, I actually have to agree with Team Benavidez on this. You know what I'm saying? The women in Terence Crawford family is out of control. You know what I'm saying? Women should be seen and not heard. And they be going real hard. You know what I'm saying? And they be real loud. I remember watching some of this stuff on a YouTube on a different channel, and I could barely hear shit because the women in Terence Crawford family was just so loud and belligerent that it was annoying. I just clicked off of the video. You know what I'm saying? And if the guy is going in there to the gym to train or something like that, I have no doubt that they went in there talking mountains of crap, because I can tell just how they act at the press conference and how loud they are. You know what I'm saying? So Terence Crawford need to have some better control over that, and they need to have more coof. You know what I'm saying? Because a group of women shouldn't be more loud than the men. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's just my personal opinion, but there's certain ways that you should be able to carry yourself. But they be going hard as just as the dudes is. So if the dudes are not that passionate about it, what does the women look like trying to do it? Like, they're not the one getting up in the ring, but they're talking such mountains of crap. I have no doubt that they went in there to that gym and gave them guys the business. I'm pretty sure that was very annoying. I'm pretty sure that they was disrespectful to his family. I have no doubt in that at all. But yet it's still, that is something that Bud Crawford needs to address. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't just let the women in your family just run wild like that. Like, well, regardless if these are your aunts and your grandmas or something like that, you still are the man. And I have no doubt that you are the breadwinner, and you are the one paying these people's bills and whatnot. So you need to say when they out here that they conduct themselves in a professional manner and act like women and act like ladies, because for them to be as loud and as rude they was just at the press conference, to the point that I didn't even want to watch it, that I had to click off it. Like, I was that annoyed. You know what I'm saying? Then I can just imagine what they felt like being in his gym trying to get some work in, and they come in and mess with these dudes. So on that aspect, I totally agree with him. I totally agree with Team Benavidez on that.
You're trying to be a nice guy.
You guys, that name on that gym says B&B, not Benavidez. It say B&B.
Just some little dogs. You guys just do marketing. You guys do marketing. You guys don't do nobody.
You lucky you got in that gym. You lucky you got in that gym.
You want me to bring you your chicken? You want me to bring you some water? Get your fat ass?
Okay, all right.
Now, low key, what Jose really wanted to say was, can I get you some chicken and can I get you some watermelon? It wasn't getting no chicken and get you some water. I don't know if he caught himself in the middle of saying whatever he said, but that's basically what he wanted to say. He's like, hey, man, can I get your fat ass some chicken and some watermelon? And before I even go to break this down, I want people to understand the history of matchmaking. And matchmaking, when it comes to promoters, is not just matching your fighter up with an opponent who's going to seem dangerous but make your fighter look good. Matchmaking also has to do with matching up races and people who have countries behind them. You know, for the most part, boxing was built off the back of black and brown rivalry. This is an age-old promotional tool that promoters have used to fill seats since boxing has been boxing. As any promoter that's in boxing, they'll tell you about it. They know this trick. They know how it goes because they play off people's racial emotions. You know, and when it comes to black and brown fighters fighting, Mexicans tend to get personal and they tend to get behind their fighters wholeheartedly, especially when it's against a black person. Those are going to be the ones who fill the seats and sell the tickets. You know what I'm saying? Who knew this wholeheartedly was Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made his careers all beating the shit out of Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? That's how he made his money. That's how he made, and that's how he got his fame, because they know when you match a black person with a Mexican, Mexicans have a deep-seated hatred and jealousy towards black fighters. I don't care what anybody say. This is my channel. This is Check Hook Boxing. This is unfiltered. This is unbiased. This is unapologetic. And this is gloves off conversation. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I like about my channel, because I'm not afraid to touch on all the subjects that people are afraid to touch on. And if they do touch on, they pussyfoot around it. That's boxing, whether you like it or not. OK, that's just facts. You know what I'm saying? Promoters don't want you match a brown fighter up with a black fighter. You know what I'm saying? The Mexicans have this and always have had this personal disdain. I don't know why, for black fighters, and they tend to rally behind their black fighters, and they're the one that fills up the seats. You know what I'm saying? Because whether people like it or not, the majority of people who buy tickets when it comes to boxing is Mexicans and Caucasian fans. Boxers, the black fan base, yes, they do buy some of the tickets, but they're not majority of the people who sell out all these tickets. They're Caucasians and they're Mexicans. Blacks tend to be the fighters, but not the people who sits in the stands. That's fact. Say what you want, get as mad as you want. That is fact. That's just how it is. Now, when it comes to Jose Benavidez talking about that watermelon and chicken shit, you know what I'm saying? This is just typical shit that has always come from Mexican fighters when it comes to black fighters. And like I said, they have always had a special disdain for black fighters. And if you ask me, it's strictly out of jealousy. This is the primary reason why they don't like Mayweather. If Mayweather was Mexican, he would be the Dalai Lama of boxing. Now tell me I'm lying. And the same thing if he was Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? We have to stop lying to ourselves and act like race doesn't play a huge factor in boxing. At least in America, it does. And I can only speak from American perspective. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure everybody else is a little bit more different. They're a little bit more well-rounded than we are here. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to black fighters here and when it comes to Mexicans, you know what I'm saying? They have always hated and disliked black fighters. I do not know why. I cannot say the same things as far as black fighters towards Mexicans, but it is stuff like this is the reason why communities like the LDBC exist. Now, I go hard on the LDBC, and y'all know I don't like LDBC. Y'all know I don't like that race baiting shit. Y'all know, that I don't play none of that race crap. You know what I'm saying? None of that stuff over here. I can't stand it. But what do I look like being able to call the LDBC out and not being able to call the other communities and the Mexican diaspora as far as on YouTube and boxing goes? Like, we all know this to be fact. We all know this to be true. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever I see a Mexican fighter fight a black fighter, just go ahead and look in the comments section and look how many racist comments that you get from Mexicans about black fighters. You know what I'm saying? It's there all the time. You know what I'm saying? Speaking in Spanish, calling them mayetes and this, that, and the third. You know, I know exactly what that is. And can't nobody tell me that Bruce Vane, you're being biased or you're being racist, because y'all don't know nothing about my racial background and y'all know nothing about my family history. My brother is Mexican, and I'm not talking about some dude that I met in elementary school and we just best friends and we got along and I call that dude my brother. No, my legitimate brother is Mexican. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can tell me nothing when it comes to this race stuff, because I didn't seen it and I didn't experienced it all because of how diverse my family is. But there's one thing's for sure, that when it comes to Mexicans and when it comes to black fighters, they hate black fighters and they hate on black fighters and they hate losing to black fighters. Why? I have no idea.
Christy, can I say one thing? Nice guy.
Yeah, that's all right.
I bet you 10,000 he win right now.
Yeah, put your money up.
You and me get on the phone with a bet? I bet you want to bet? Right. You want to bet? Because that's what you can lie in front of them. You ain't got confidence in your son. You ain't got confidence in your son. You don't have confidence in your son.
Now look at that, talking all that shit. But when it's time to put the dinero down on your little bambino, motherfucker, shut up real quick. You lucky I wasn't there. I'd have told you to throw your green card down on the table.
You said you and him didn't bring? I bet my Percy knock you out. I bet my Percy knock you out. You guys think that you got some? I don't bet with people like you. You know, you guys think you got money? This guy doesn't even sell. He doesn't even sell. I don't know how you pay all of you guys. He doesn't even sell. You don't say I don't sell. You can tell them and say I don't sell. You don't sell, brother. You don't sell. You sell normal, brother.
Now you must admit that you had to see that coming. The age-old myth that black fighters don't sell, and how ironic it is that this man sitting up here talking about how Bud Crawford doesn't sell, and this is the same people that's fighting on that person who doesn't sell undercard. You know what I'm saying? What sense does that make? That's just completely asinine. And what's even more ridiculous, trying to keep this narrative that black fighters don't sell when the highest pay-per-view gate is held by a black person. And that's not just in boxing. That's just in anything that has to do with pay-per-view, whether it's dealing with WWE or whatever it is, you know. But this is why a lot of people got upset when they heard Abel Sanchez said that black fighters don't sell. And me personally, I wouldn't have got offended by it, because he said black fighters doesn't sell because they tend to be more strategic and more slick. So that just means that what Abel Sanchez and people like him are actually saying is that black boxers are the only one who practice the sweet science, the art of hit and not getting hit, miss and making them pay, you know. But over here in America, they seem to want to keep reiterating that and keep trying to put it on people's mind that black fighters don't sell, the black fighters don't sell. Yet the highest pay-per-view gate is not held by no Mexican. It is not held by no Caucasian. It's actually held by a black man. And we just have to be honest, when it comes to black fighters in boxing, they're held to a different criteria. They're judged more crucially, and they're always asked to do more to prove their credibility. You know what I'm saying? That's boxing. That's real and that's honest. You know what I'm saying? You don't like it? Please get the fuck off my page. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like what I'm saying, unsubscribe and get the fuck on, because over here, I tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? I despise racism, but when it comes to these Mexicans and the way you guys hate on black fighters, it is fucking disgusting. Now, I know it is part of our boxing history as far as the matchup, you know what I'm saying, to get people involved and stuff like that and help sell tickets. I understand how the game goes, you know what I'm saying? I really do. But when it comes to this side of the game and bringing up chicken and bringing up watermelon and shit, all this stuff when it comes to the racial stuff that black fighters go through, get swept up under the rug, just like the Oscar De La Hoya emails and stuff like that. All the shit that the stuff that the LDBC be talking about, they're not lying about all that. You know what I'm saying? They just became the very thing that in which they said that they hated. That's why I don't like about the LDBC. But they're not lying when it comes to the majority of that stuff. They're not. You know what I'm saying? They just took the shit a little bit too far, and now they have become those people in which they hated. You know what I'm saying? And I don't play none of that, but I'll be damned if I call the LDBC out and I don't call these racist Mexican boxing fans out. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm not talking about all Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? I know all Mexicans ain't like that, and I know that they just feel just as shameful for this shit as anybody else, and they don't like it. So I understand that that's not all Mexicans. I would never rule in the absolute, and I would never put anybody in a group. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. This has no more space in boxing. I don't know what the Mexican diaspora as far as boxing goes problem is. I don't know it's because they never had a Mexican heavyweight champion. I don't know it's because Floyd Mayweather went on a whoop a Mexican's ass spree. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's fucking disgusting. You know what I'm saying? To me, I reserve the right to like any fighter that I want. You know what I'm saying? And it's just messed up when it is a black fighter and it is a Mexican fighter. Sometimes I want to root for the Mexican fighter because I have no racial ties in it. I just like people for their skill. But see, I know how the Mexican diaspora in boxing works. And it's not just boxing with them. It's personal with them. It's racial with them. So for the most part, I be cheering for the black guy simply because of the injustices, not because we share the same skin complexion or we share the same racial backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? I always cheer for underdogs. I can't stand for people to be fucked with, and I hate injustices. I say this over and I say this over again. That's why on my channel, I wanted a channel that I can be able to talk about whatever the hell I want and speak whatever the hell I want and to be real and not scared to touch on these subjects. But this is a subject that needs to get touched on. I'll just let you know that I recognize that. On my end note, as far as racism and stuff like that in boxing, let me just use this from a psychological standpoint. And psychology says anybody who partakes or plays in racism, it represents somebody with a low IQ. OK, so if you want to be one of those people that represents having a low IQ, just keep up that racist shit. OK, I'll see you guys after the fight. Good luck to both men. Bruce Vane, I am out.